In this video, I want to take a minute to talk about the assessment structure of this class, which is really like, how am I going to grade you? I have a lot of resources on this page in general about like, here's basically my 2-page manifesto on grading and a spreadsheet. And I wanted to just like talk about it in a video or, in person. My grading style is kind of my own homebrew of kind of specifications or mastery or labor-based grading. Um, and I've kind of taken elements from a few different sources and combined it into something that I've been working on for a couple years, and it's evolved with a lot of student input on it. And I think it's getting to a place where it's starting to work well. So I'd love to get feedback from you at the end of the class about what works and what doesn't work, and if this style is helpful to your learning or not. But let me walk through what it's going to look like. And this might be a lot of information. We will check in throughout the quarter. And so we can, especially after we go through a few assignments, it'll be helpful to come back and be like, all right, so how is this working? So let's kind of give first a brief overview. So for our grading system, assignments are going to be graded as either incomplete, complete, or mastery. Those are the grades you can get. And it'll look in Canvas like either a I for incomplete, which will be like coded as a 0, C for complete, which would be coded as a 0.5, and a M for mastery, which would be coded as a 0.85. Like these points don't really mean anything. It's just Canvas can't handle letter grades without a numeric thing. Some things are graded just as either complete or incomplete, and those will either have a check mark for complete or an X for incomplete. So you might see these two different styles of like tracking information in Canvas. But the idea is that I'm not going to give you a grade that's a percentage. Instead, I'm like, yeah, you totally got this. Like you understand it. There might be a few small errors, no big deal. Or you are on your way. You have some areas you need to improve in, or there are some gaps in knowledge or a misunderstanding we should clear up, but you're on your way. And incomplete is like, it's just not done yet. So in general, in my classes, you can revise all your work. After you get feedback from me. And the idea is I want you to get feedback from me and then go back and try again and like study first and like figure out where your mistakes were, learn from those mistakes, try again and be like, oh, okay, cool. I've learned something in this moment on this assignment and we got better right here. So some of my assignments are intended as practice, and you'll have, you could just keep doing them until they're done. So infinite attempts or revisions. And those are kind of our intro first week assignments, your homework assignments, and our group assignments that we'll do in class together. Then I have some assignments that are meant to be assessments where I'm actually seeing what you know, and also you're going to really improve what you're learning through this process. And so if these ones, you can only revise them once. These are going to be lab assignments and our problem sets, which are kind of like big take-home exams or fun, challenging problems. And if you decide to do a grade building project, you could revise a project once as well. So in general, grades are just going to be based on completing assignments and demonstrating mastery on a specific number of assignments that gets you to a GPA rather than accumulating points throughout the quarter. So I think this system requires really clear expectations of what I mean by mastery or completing. And so completing something is usually going to mean like you turn in something where it's a good faith effort, you try every single problem and you show your work and you're working on learning. And mastery is going to hit a certain set of expectations that I'll outline in a rubric for that assignment because it's so different for every single assignment. And if it's not clear, just ask me. I'm trying to be clear. I'm not trying to hide any information from you. But what might seem clear to me may not be clear to you. And I'm happy to try again if you give me the opportunity to revise it. So how does this compare to previous classes or maybe traditional grading systems that you've experienced in the past? So traditionally, points are awarded for each assignment, and you just have one attempt to complete that assignment and show what you know, and then you like get some number of those points. You can then use feedback from that to improve your performance on a later assessment, like an exam or a final exam. And in this system, like deadlines are rigid. Everyone turns it at the same time. They all get graded and they come back. And in this case, like for you to pass, like you might do less work on some units or like chapters, like you just like, well, it's just, it was a rough week. And you'll still get a passing grade. And your grade will be just as percentage of points. So like in this system, we're going to have this quarter, each assignment is going to be incomplete or complete or mastery. So it's not a point system that you're accumulating. You're just like, I finished that assignment and I finished that assignment and I did really well. I got a mastery. And if you don't get that mastery, you'll finish that assignment. You'll be like, oh, I can try again. And you'll have that opportunity. So because of that, it's like automatically we have these flexible deadlines because like you're going to get to revise your work. And then the feedback that you get, you're going to put into practice immediately. Like if you get feedback on an assignment and it's not at a mastery level, you'll revise it then instead of seeing how well it sticks or if you learned the material better later on. You'll be able to get a passing grade, you'll be able to attempt to learn most of the units that are covered, but like you could skip one if you needed to and still pass. And so it's kind of like a different way of like, you could decide, you're like, well, if I don't do this, but then I'll make it up for here, or I'm having a rough week. And for me to meet my goal, I can actually skip an entire week's worth of work. So this is my rough week. I'm going to skip it all and it'll be okay. And so, yeah, the overall grade is just completing an amount of work. Based on our outcomes. And no matter what, I'll give you lots of feedback, but I would do that anyway. All right. So that's kind of the overview. I'm going to walk through the types of assignments you have, and then I'm going to walk through how the GPA piece works. So our introductory assignments are just like, we all have to get on the same page. And so it's our first week. It's just like explaining what the class is, you telling me about yourself and your goals for the class, and we'll develop an honor code and figure out lab kits, and you'll do a lab safety assignment too. Lots of fun. So these you have to do them like for the class. Like it's like how we're going to be able to navigate. It's like reading the glossary, I guess. But they should be easy and low stakes, and you can do them as many times as you want to finish them. Then we'll have group assignments. So this is going to be part of our weekly class meeting. So we meet twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays, and on Mondays we'll do group assignments that introduce the content for the week. It will assume that you have already read or watched the lectures or have at least done some of that. And it'll be a different thing every week, and they'll post right beforehand. And there'll be a way to make them up later as well if you miss class. And there'll be 8 of these, and you can do these as many times as you want, like so you can revise and revise, and it's just complete or incomplete grading. So homework will be practice problems. Learning chemistry really requires practicing the concepts and the calculations. Like it's just the best way to do it. It's just like to try it out. And so each chapter is going to have a set of problems that are practiced to practice the concepts you're learning. And you just got to get about like an 85%. And then you'll get a complete on that. So this is graded incomplete and complete again. And you can just keep working on it until you hit that benchmark. So labs are more assessments, are more formal assessments, and they'll be complete, incomplete, or mastery. And that mastery really means like an A-. It's like it's all the concepts are there, like you understand the material, it's great, but like there could be a few mistakes, and that's completely fine. Like we all make a little mistake. Complete would mean that there was something that was kind of wasn't clicking, right? That there was a gap in your knowledge or like a skill that you needed to develop more before you were at that A- level. We'll have 8 labs. One of these is a total gimme. It's a safety, watch a safety video, do a safety quiz, easy peasy. And then the rest will be applying the material we're doing in class with online activity or hands-on activity using a lab kit at home. Then problem sets. Problem sets, I guess you could call them take-home exams as well, but they're going to be it's going to be an assignment that's going to be a set of challenging problems or problems that are applying concepts from class to real world situations or that are synthesizing multiple ideas from the class together. So they're harder, they'll take more time, and they're meant to be assignments that are in themselves a learning process. So they're worth a lot. You can, they're the way you kind of build up your GPA. These will be the type of assignment where you can expect to maybe not get a mastery the first time to get it complete. And then I'll give you a whole bunch of feedback and you'll go back and like revise it and then come back and hopefully you'll get a mastery then. These are the assignments that really need to be completed by yourself, and we'll talk about that in another activity. And then lastly, we have another assignment that can kind of build up your grade, and that is projects. And our projects, there's like a whole variety of things. Like it could be a paper, it could be a letter, it could be an infographic, it could be a set of chapter summaries, it could be a presentation. You could take a like timed multiple choice exam. There's lots of ways to do it. And really these projects and problem sets, these are what I think of as ways to build your grade. So you're going to have the core work of the class is labs, homework, and group assignments. Like this is the core work I want you to focus on. And once that's mastered, then you can build your grade up by taking on these challenges, these problem sets, and these projects that demonstrate like your understanding of the material in more depth. So let's talk about how this grade structure is really going to work for GPAs. So the class, like right now, you all have a 3.2 in the class. We start out at 3.2, solid grade. It's a good grade to get in a science class. It's awesome. So congratulations, we are all doing great. And as the quarter progresses and we move through assignments, as you complete them, you maintain that 3.2 for the core work of the class. And the core work is group assignments, homeworks, and labs. That was what I think is essential to learn chemistry. So if you complete all the group assignments, so you come to class and you participate, and you complete all the homework assignments, which is, doing practice problems after you watch the lectures, and you attempt all of the labs. So you complete all of the labs assignments we have, and then they're either already at a mastery level the first time you try them, or I come back to you with feedback and you revise them. So that way they're all at that A- mastery level. Then you'll get a 3.2 in this class. Awesome. Now, if you're like applying to a really competitive, like nursing school, and you're like, a 3.2 is great, but it's not good enough, I need a 4.0, then what you're going to do is you're going to build your grade up from that 3.2 by taking on more challenging assignments. And you don't have to do this, just only if you want to get the higher grade. And so each problem set is going to be worth 0.4 points if you get a mastery grade, so like an A-. So if you try the mastery or the problem sets, you can build your grade up by 0.4, or if you just get a complete and you aren't able to get the mastery, you'll build it up by 0.2 points. So now let's say just by trying these two problem sets, all the problems and trying your hardest, but maybe not even getting a mastery, now you're already up to a 3.4, a 3.6. And then you can do additional projects to demonstrate your knowledge, and we can develop these together for additional 0.2 GPA bumps as well. These are like grade building projects. Like maybe it is summarizing the entire class into one beautiful concept map, something like that. Something that takes about 4 hours, 6 hours. And for things that don't get completed or aren't mastery, then your grade comes down from that 3.2. So like if you complete a lab, but you don't have the time to revise it to that mastery level, you'll subtract 0.1 from your 3.2 GPA. So you'll get a 3.1 now. And let's say you have a rough week and you don't complete a homework assignment. Well, now it's you subtract a 0.1. So now it's a 3.0, right? If you miss a group assignment, it's minus 0.12. If you completely miss a lab assignment, it is your biggest drop in your GPA. It is minus 0.3. And so to pass the class with a 2.0, it basically assumes you have one bad week. You don't try to do any grade building activities, but you try everything else. So it's 7 out of 8 of the group assignments are complete. 7 out of 8 of the homeworks are complete. And 7 out of 8 of the labs are complete, but none of them have been to the level where it's an A-. So it's like probably solid B or C level work on lab assignments. And that'll be a 2.0 and you'll pass the class. So what I like about this style is that you can set a goal for yourself, and you can, and as things change through the quarter, you can find other pathways to get to your GPA goal. And if that feels confusing, I'm happy to help you figure that out throughout the quarter. However, one thing that I don't like about this system is that it doesn't work well with Canvas. Canvas really likes percentages. And so Canvas is going to be used to track your grade on each individual assignment, but it won't tabulate a grade for you. So there isn't going to be some rolling percentage in Canvas that says you're at an A, which like for most of your classes is probably meaningless for especially the first 3 weeks, but whatever. So So I know that this is an extra step, but at the same time, this also gives you the tool I'm using to calculate grades at the end. And you can use this tool to figure out, oh, well, I can miss this if I do this and this and this, or I have a vacation this week. If I don't do this and this, I can still hit my goal by doing this and that. And so you can map it out and play with it. And as you and there's instructions embedded within the spreadsheet. And so you can download it on this page. It's also linked in the general information and links for the class pages as well. And as you complete assignments, you'll put in yeses and no, or for no's. If you don't complete it, then you'll put in a negative 0.1 for a group assignment, negative 0.1 for a homework, or negative 0.3 for a lab. If you don't get a mastery on a lab, but you complete it, you'd put in a minus 0.1. And then there's also a space, a space for problem sets and grade building projects and the like. So you can use this to calculate your grade. This is what I will use to calculate your grade at the end of the quarter and midway through the quarter as well. And you're responsible for tracking your progress. And if you ever feel in the weeds or like you aren't sure if you're doing it right, you can just drop me an email. You're like, I think I'm here. What about you? And I'll just run through this too, and we'll compare and we'll figure out exactly where you're at. And we'll go back and forth. So using this spreadsheet is kind of key to figuring out where you're at in the class and key to how I figure out where you're at in the class as well. All right, so hopefully that is helpful. Take a look at my grading manifesto, the overview, and take a look at this spreadsheet and play around with it. And let me know if you have any questions.